to bring up onto stage director Neil Berkeley and the star of the film, Wayne White.
Thank you. Wow, hey. Hello, Toronto. It's good to be back.
So I just want to point out, we are taping this Q&A, so we do have someone downstairs, someone upstairs with microphones, so there will be a bit of a delay as we get the mic to each person to ask the question. So why don't we start with asking Wayne, why haven't you started performance dance?
I'm beginning tonight. Watch this. You know, dance is...
You've had that question before, I think.
I would love to do, I'd love to design for a dance troupe, you know, costumes and masks and puppets and live dancers and stuff. But, yeah, I'm only paid to dance, and so...
All right, well, enough of my dumb questions. I'll go out to the audience now. I'm sure there's a bunch of them out here. For people in the balcony, there's a lot of light, so we'll try to catch you as well. Anyone down here? Please, questions. There we go. This lady down here. Hold on, we'll get a mic to you.
I love the film. I was just wondering how much scripting and how much was spontaneous, because it felt so spontaneous and so fun. So I was wondering.
It was fun. I mean, there was a lot, not scripting, but there were a lot of things like the LBJ puppet head. LBJ is the President of the United States, who Wayne and I are a little bit obsessed with. And I said, hey, you know, Woody's in town. You should do something with Woody and I'll shoot it. That's his son, Woodrow. And he said, all right, yeah, let's do LBJ. So that's as scripted as it got. And in fact, another better example of that is Mrs. Stoddard, his first grade teacher. I tracked her down and I found her. And they said, we know where she is. And I said, okay, we're going to be there on this date. Can you get her to the bookstore? And Wayne was inside doing the interview. We framed up for it. And I went outside and I had a book. I didn't know what she looked like. They walked her over and said, here's Mrs. Stoddard, this is Neil. And I said, Mrs. Stoddard, here's the book for you. Would you please go inside and ask Wayne to sign it? And that was as scripted as it got.
Yes, it was not scripted at all. Everything was spontaneous. Neil is a great guy. No, it wasn't. I mean, that's the power of this thing, is that it grew organically, you know. It's just a couple of guys in the room talking and finding out about stuff, and that's the power of it. It's all real. It's all done in real time with real people.
So how did you guys meet? Because you were a fan prior to making this movie, right?
Yeah, we met 12 years ago, actually. I've known Wayne for a long time. And when we started the movie, we were kind of acquaintances. We knew who each other was. And I was working as an intern, as a PA, for this production company that did design. And he was there drawing those Priceline commercials. I had just moved from Oklahoma, home of Joe Carter. So, me and Joe Carter. So I was bugging him, you know, and he tells the story better than I do, but I would bug him to, like, do...
No, he was like this unpaid intern, a young punk right out of Oklahoma, and I was a very important artist doing my work, and he was hanging over my shoulder. Hey, you work on Pee-wee? Do Randy again. What's the special pumpkins like? You know, I was like, get away from me, you know. Go buy me a sandwich, kid. And he drifted out of my life. That was back in 2000. And then he drifted back into my life in 2009. I barely knew him. I still thought of him as this young punk. He wants to do a short film. In the meantime, that's his company now. That company where we met, he's the boss now. That's the kind of guy Neil is. And he's like, let's do a short film, because my book had just come out, the Todd Oldham book you saw in the movie. And so he tried to get some other directors interested in it. No, who's Wayne White? Who cares? You know, and I thought, all right, this is going nowhere. Leave me alone again, please. Give me another sandwich or something. I go down to Houston, Texas to build the world's largest George Jones head. And all of a sudden, he shows up out of the blue with his own camera on his own dime. And I'm still kind of humoring him, you know. It's like, all right, we'll play like we're going to make a documentary. You play like you're a filmmaker. I'll play like I'm the great subject. Roll Sure enough, though, he hung in there with, you know, tenacity and perseverance, and made me do all these interviews. Got Matt Groening, Mark Mothersbaugh, Paul Rubens. before we knew it, the ball was rolling, and here we are 3 years later in Toronto, Canada, with a real movie. You know, that's how it happened. You know, it's a grassroots effort. It was done on a shoestring, grassroots. We're still grassrooting it. Neil's distributing the movie himself. We're traveling all over the country talking about it, and it's the little movie that could. You know, it's really cool.
Other questions out there? Over here.
What are you working on now? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like you stay on the same kind of thing for a long time.
I beg your pardon.
No, but I mean, it looks like you were doing those word paintings a couple of years ago.
I'm still doing the word paintings. Those will always sort of be there for me. They're kind of my bread and butter. That's how I make money in the art world. But my new project is to take the word paintings into reality. Like I'm negotiating with my hometown of Chattanooga to make giant sculptures of words in a real landscape, public art. You know, so that's my next phase is public art. And
will it be the "fuck you" invasion?
Yeah, it's going to say "fuck you" right on the Tennessee River. My parents will be so proud. Yeah, that's what I'm doing next. I'm taking it to that next scale, that next level. I'm doing a lot of museum installations. I just did one in Virginia. And I shouldn't mention this, but I think it's going to happen. I don't want to jinx it, but what the hell. You know, the Bonnaroo Festival that happens in Tennessee, the big rock festival, I'm going to be designing some giant inflatable characters that will be hovering over the festival. Like, and the Macy's parade balloon people are going to make those. So I'm taking it all to this next big scale thing. And the movie has helped me do that, you know. The movie has helped me open those doors. Thank you.
Other questions? Up here in the balcony, someone's looking for a microphone.
I can yell.
You can yell?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Where do you find your inspiration?
Oh, geez, I find it everywhere. That's the artist's job, is to find inspiration. And you don't wait for it, you have to be active about it, you know? You have to keep an open mind all the time. I never know where it's going to come from, I really don't. And that's what the artist does. He's a walking, or she is a walking nerve endings. We're nerve endings, just going around. We're not intellectuals, we're nerve endings. And through those nerve endings, things happen and go up to our brain. But the artist is not an intellectual. He doesn't intellectualize inspiration. He doesn't think about it. He just lets it happen. He doesn't analyze it. You can analyze it later, you can intellectualize it later, but I'm just kind of trying to be, you know, perceptive, open to the world. So it comes from everywhere. It really does. It comes right now. I mean, you know, being here right now is inspiring. I'm getting ideas of traveling around with this movie and meeting everybody and getting the response. This alone is like kind of like making art to me.
So a doc on Neil is coming from you at this point?
Yes, and Neil Berkeley inspires me. He does, yes he does.
On that point, I mean, in the movie you do talk about, you know, do what you love. But let's go back to when you first started off. I mean, is that the same thing you sort of believed in and preached in back then? Or what was your aspirations at that point?
I don't want to answer for you, but there's a great story one of his friends told me that didn't make it in the movie. And he said that he went to New York when Wayne was about 24, 25 years old. He was visiting in Wayne. And they went downstairs, and he was trying to find him. And he looked over, and Wayne was on the street handing out Xerox copies of cartoon comics that he had made. And he was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just giving these out to get my name out there." And I think he may say no, but I think that tenacity and that drive has always been there.
What was the question? Sorry, no.
No, it was just you talking about doing what you love and which you mean. I mean, were there different aspirations when you were young? I mean, did you want to become a big famous artist, or was it really just about creation?
Well, of course, when you're young, you want to be rich and famous. You know, I was a very ambitious guy, but I didn't have a plan. I took it day by day, and I still do. And you know, it sounds corny to give that advice. Do what you love. It's going to lead to where you want to go. There's a lot of complications there. It's not just 1, 2, 3. You know, I'm a little worried when I hear that advice. I'm like, that's kind of simplistic, Wayne. You know, you're gonna cause a lot of trouble with people. But it's basically true, and that's what I did. That's all I knew how to do. Art was all I ever knew how to do. I had no safety nets. I had no fallback. I put all my eggs in that one basket. So yeah, I bet on that, you know. And I always say the artist's life is one of risk taking, and it's risky to do what you love. The world does not want you to do it. But here's the other thing: the world is dying for stuff done out of love. It's dying. It's starving for stuff done out of love. They'll give you money to do for it, you know. So take that risk because the world needs stuff done out of love. It really does.
What do you say to kids when they see your art?
No cussing. Don't. It depends. Most kids, love the puppet stuff, and I'm thrilled to inspire kids. I'm a kid myself. We all are. We're all children. We just have grown these thick shells, but it pierces my heart, when a kid loves it. You saw that kid in the movie that when he came out and saw the giant puppet. God, it tears me up to see that. I love it. It touches me, and that's one of my favorite things is to touch a kid. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, let me start over. Good night, everybody. No, that's one of my favorite things is for a kid to have joy on their face, All right, that's enough.
Good luck on your trip to Milwaukee tomorrow at the border.
Cut that out, please. No, kids are great, man. They're the best. Wow.
The next question, please.
I would let that go. Hi, I'm a former puppeteer, and I'm actually curious about your process. Because I know you started at the beginning not really knowing about building a puppet, and it seemed to me that you worked from the outside in, and now you work from the sort of the inside out in terms of structure. Could you talk about that a little?
You wave.
Where are you?
Who's talking? Oh,
I'm
right
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry. Hi. I work. I never had a formal training as a puppet maker. As you can tell in the movie, I just kind of made it up as I went along. I lied to the PV people and told them I knew how to make puppets, and I desperately went out and found how-to puppet books and stuff. But I start with, I don't start with an inner structure, usually. The makings of. I'm really kind of iffy with the mechanics of a puppet. I start with the face and expression, and then I figure out how to dig inside it and make the hand get up in there or the rods or whatever. But I always start with a character in my mind first, like that guy that I made, the redneck guy. That's definitely a character I do and mutter to myself. He's like this weird other persona of mine. So in that sense, I'm always starting from the outside and working into the mechanics of it. And then those junk sculpture marionette things are just kind of like, that's a little different. They're not really characters. They're more like moving sculpture, So I still just make it up as I go along as far as puppets go. And I do, maybe that's not the best attitude to have because I know that puppeteering is a beautiful time-honored craft and there's such craftsmen and they take such pride in their beautiful, delicate mechanisms and stuff. And I really admire that part of puppeteering a lot and I'll never be that good or be like that. But I start with a character first in my head. And I definitely, I start with a voice. It starts with the voice, really. And then I try to match the voice to the face. And as far as construction techniques go, I'm a mess. I'm all over the place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Got a couple back here. We'll start with the gentleman in front and then the gentleman behind.
Who's in front? Is that me? I just want to say thanks for doing such beautiful work, and the film was so gorgeous. It made everything seem so effortless, and like you just loved your way through life, except for the tragedy with your mother. And is this just like brilliant editing? Haven't you had to do anything like that sucks? Like some lousy jobs or something weird?
Honestly, when I went out, decided to do this, I kept it quiet, wouldn't tell anybody I was going to do it. Finally, I said, you know what, I'm going to make a movie about Wayne. I went around and talked to hotshot directors and producers, And they all said the same thing. They're like, well, we know Wayne. There's not a lot of darkness there. There's no low point. There's no tragedy. Is there something wrong with him? Like, where's that dark moment? And I never let that bother me because I don't care. You know, we all have our moments. We all get pissed off. We all get sad. We all get angry. But there's the low point in the late 90s when I met Wayne. There's the car wreck. But there's not this big disaster. You know, Wayne never tried to kill himself or anyone else in the world. But that's not the point of the movie. It's celebrating, and it is a celebration. I'm not ashamed to say that. It's celebrating this guy that impacted all of our lives. That's why you make documentaries. Maybe you want to make a documentary about some hellhole that we all need to think about or feel bad about, or this person's awful person in the world, but we should also celebrate people that just do things that are in our lives and in our minds and in our culture. Documentary is made to do that. And yes, you can make funny documentaries, and you can make documentaries with dancing LBJ puppet heads and guys that, you know, make puppets and talk to themselves. And if that's as crazy and as weird as he gets, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I read that in reviews and I read that all the time, and I'm not afraid of that. I also like to hear people talk about that because that means people are talking about the movie. If it was not something people wanted to go see or discuss, then they wouldn't be mentioning it. So it's nice that they're even saying, hey, this movie's pretty good, not a lot of darkness, but maybe go see it.
And, you know, I'm a cranky guy, too. I'm not as fun as I am on that screen all the time. I mean, that's like the best of, you know. That's my best sides, you know. I'm kind of a difficult guy a lot, you know. Like all artists, I'm neurotic, you know. So, but thank you for. I'm glad everybody can carry away happiness from it, though. That really, I'm glad I could cheer people up. I mean, who doesn't want to cheer people up?
I was just thinking it turns like a crappy job somewhere along the way.
Oh, I've had lots of crappy jobs, and I was depressed a lot.
Well, that's
yeah.
I have to defend things. Like there is that low moment where you worked on shitty show after shitty show, right? There were crappy jobs.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of worse things. And I was through my teenage years, I worked crappy jobs. And that motivated me to make art too, because I saw the blue collar side of life. Man, I did not want to fall down that hole. I mean, that was a big motivator for me. Was early on crappy jobs. And
you haven't done that since your early 20s.
No, I haven't worked as a short order cook since I was like 24. So, you know, but yeah.
I want to know. The greatest work of art I ever saw in my life was in Washington at the Phillips Collection, Luncheon at the Boating Party by Renoir. Is there one painting or work of art that you saw in your travels, maybe Paris, maybe who knows where, that you said, that's the greatest work of art I've ever seen, other than your own?
Man, that's a tough question.
Mimi.
Yeah, Mimi Pond is my children, you know. Wow. I'm on the spot now. I can't really say. I've loved so many paintings, and I've been to Paris, and I've been to all the, the great museums. That's a really tough question.
There's a lot of people though, Homer and.
Well, Winslow Homer. I love his stuff. Thomas Eakins. I love Cezanne. I love all painting. I'm a painting freak. I love it all. Anybody who's tried to make a painting, I love. I'm in love with painting. I don't know as much about sculpture, but painting is my thing. I love it. And there's not one that really stands out all that much for me. Sorry, comment now.
Is there a thing you wouldn't write on?
Well, no, I don't write on fame. I only do on reproductions to begin with. And they're all these kind of crappy, kitschy, pretty pictures. And I don't do reproductions of famous paintings because that'd be like a comment on the famous painting, and that's not what I'm about. The paintings I paint on are just merely there for pretty backgrounds in an ironic kind of way. Like I wouldn't paint on the Last Supper or anything like that, because then it would be like a comment on the Last Supper and people would analyze it. That's not what it's about. I choose them because they're empty stages, And so, as far as contemporary painting goes, I'm a huge fan of Philip Guston. He's one of the last 50 years, and I love the abstract expressionists. I love Willem de Kooning a huge amount. But Guston is one of my heroes because he's a guy who wasn't afraid to change late in life and just do a 180. He went from an abstract expressionist into like, you know, doing these kind of R-crumb, cartoony, weirdo things that, you know, I love that. Oh, well, that's an unsung hero in the movie that should have been in there. Red Grooves is a huge influence on me, as you can tell, alone, just from the LBJ mask alone. And I worked for Red in New York, and we didn't have time to fit that story in. But I was one of Red Grooves' assistants in New York, and Red is a huge, huge influence on me. Yeah, any Red Grooves painting or a sculpture is always on my mind.
First of all, thanks for coming. It's really inspiring to see how far you've come and what you've done with the work you have. My question is, you seem to have been fueled by the disgust that you had back home.
Yeah.
And now it seems like you're going back there to do art, and I'm wondering if aside from that acceptance, there's still disgust for you there, or if they're going to build some kind of statue for you in reverence of how far you've come.
They're building a statue of me. You know what? It's a love-hate thing. It's a bittersweet thing. A lot of the people that I had trouble with have passed on. There's a new generation in charge. I mean, my generation is in charge now. I mean, we're the hippies and the freaks of the 70s are now, you know, the politicians and the guys running Chattanooga. Chattanooga is 180 from when I used to live there. It's a much more liberal, open-minded, art-loving kind of place. So it's not like it all when I was a kid. I think that the times have very much changed, and it's very satisfying to be welcomed back with open arms from the place I ran running and screaming from when I was 21. So that's another great kind of change in my life that's happened because of the movie. It's finally, you know, Chattanooga's given me the respect I so richly deserve. And yes, there is residual resentments, you know. Ask Mimi about it. She has to listen to me all the time. And another thing, that guy looked at me funny, and that old man was, shut up, Wayne, all right, I'm ready.
I really liked your movie. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask you if there's anything you hate about being an artist.
Yeah, let's see. I hate having to worry about money all the time. I still do. It may look like I've got it made, but I don't. I'm still scratching for that mortgage every month. I'm still worrying about putting my kids through college. And it's a tough way to make a living as far as just downright dollars and cents. That's the worst thing I hate about it is the financial insecurity. But you know what? It's been worth it, you know. And I don't know how to do anything else, but I do. That's what I hate the most, the financial insecurity.
So given that answer and that before you were saying something. Wow. I got a mic. So given that answer about the financial insecurity, and then before you had said that sometimes doing the artist thing obviously is a risky road to go down. So then my question is, as a father, does it ever worry you a little bit to see your kids go down the artist road yourself?
Oh, hell yeah. It worries me all the time. You know, I stay up nights worrying about it. But what are you going to do? They got it going on. They have true talent, just like me and Mimi. And I would never deny that. And they love doing what they do. And Mimi's way more optimistic than I am. She's always like, they'll find a way. The world, that's her philosophy, you know. They'll figure it out. They'll find a way. And I'm like, but what if this, and what if that, and what if this, and what if that? I'm the worrywart. So yeah, it does worry me because it's fraught. It really is. I mean, this is a positive, joyous message. I'm so happy I survived to tell this message. But man, it's hard. That's you know, it's a hard, crazy life, especially in our Western culture. You know, it's not supported. It's you have to fight for your right to party and touch children. Hey, what is up?
That's a sad answer. You're gone, right?
Some of them were destroyed. The George Jones head was destroyed. I kept the eyeballs. The big guy that you saw walking around in Tennessee, he survives. He still lives at that school. And they put him in all the parades the school has. Every excuse they can get to parade him around, they use. But a lot of the big scale stuff has to be destroyed, because there's just no storage for it. And that's all right with me. The event, the time, the place is enough for me. And especially if it's documented in a thing as great as this movie, no problem.
Wayne. Hi. Do you realize how lucky you are to be able to be and do what you are so passionate about for your whole life? Many people work for a living and they are not passionate about, how many times does this?
I get that a lot, and yes, I do, and my wife tells me that. Yeah, I know, I'm very lucky. This is blowing my mind that I'm standing here on a stage talking to you about my life. I'm lucky I survived physically through all the hard times and living on $10 a day in New York City and working myself into exhaustion and this, that, and the other thing. I'm lucky to be alive, in a lot of different ways. It was very kind of a self-destructive kind of thing. I can't tell you enough how incredible this experience is for me right this moment. You're looking at a guy who is just having his mind blown, having you share the story with me and me up here telling you about it. Take some of this vibe and take it home with you because, man, I am flipping out. I am flipped out. So thank you so much. Man.
Yeah, but before we leave, I have two requests. One, all these photographs you're taking, please put them on Twitter. Please put them on Facebook. But we're on Twitter at Wayne White Doc. He's C. Wayne White. Facebook.com/beautiesembarrassing. I really want to see all these pictures of you guys. We're going to be out in the lobby. Let's take pictures out there and let's put them all up. My next request is for all of you to support this theater. This is the second time we've been here. We were here for Hot Docs and now we're back again. And I've seen this on 30 screens, including DreamWorks and Pixar and Google, and I've seen it on some big hotshot places, and this is the best. I told Mr. Rothman, he booked us. It looks the best on this screen. And I'm so happy you're out here tonight, so please support the theater.
Absolutely, man. This is a great place.
And lastly, some news about the movie. As you can tell, we're in theaters right now. But if you go to beautiesembarrassing.com, you can see all the screenings where we're going to be. There's an amazing store on there with Wayne's book that he custom signs for everybody. There's only 200 left in the world. There's posters, there's fine art prints. Also, you're going to see news about the movie because on October 9th, we come out on VOD. Time Warner, Cox, I don't know, it'll be up here somewhere. That's always on the site. It's also going to be on iTunes and Netflix and all the gaming systems and everywhere. And then in January, the DVD is going to come out. The DVD is going to have fine art, little prints of Wayne's work. It's going to have behind the scenes, things you didn't see in the movie, like the Largo show. It's going to have the making of that. It's going to have more of Mike Quinn. It's going to have behind the scenes of Pee Wee's. It's going to be a really nice thing. That comes out in January, and it's going to be on PBS Independent Lens. So this little bitty movie made by a couple guys is doing everything you could ask you want a movie to do. It's really exciting. And yeah, also lastly, there's it's an app for your iPhone called Words with Wayne. We made it to promote the movie. You can go in there and put your own landscape. You can put this picture in there and put big 3D block text that says, "Fuck you, Wayne."
Or touch children.
That's going to happen. So it's called Words with Wayne. That's also on the website. It's on iTunes. Please go check it out. And please tell people about the movie. If you liked it, spread the word. It's going to be here all week. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Toronto.